So today we will make a Caprese Tart. Caprese just means a combination of the flavors of tomato, basil, and mozzarella. And so this time we're going to take those flavors and we're going to put them in a tart. And part of this process is going to be making the best tomato sauce you have ever tasted. This is kind of a little involved way to make tomato sauce, but it works out really well. And the other part of this tart is the no-fail savory crust, which you can see how to make in a previous video that we made of Two Cooks in the Kitchen. You're going to make the best tomato sauce you have ever tasted. This tomato sauce uses almost every little bit of the tomato, and each little part of the tomato adds its own unique flavor to the whole sauce when we get done. So for starters, we are going to blanch these tomatoes so that we can peel them easier. And for those of you who are not familiar with what that means, I've started by scoring an X in the top and bottom of each of these tomatoes. These are all tomatoes from our greenhouse. They're all the same kind of tomatoes, so I don't know why there's so many different sizes, but we're going to just use them as is. And so we're going to take these tomatoes and we're going to put them in boiling water for about 30 seconds, take them straight out into an ice water bath, and when we're done with that, the peels will just basically fall off. That's the idea anyway. So our water is almost boiling.
Don't watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, we could watch it and then we make sure it never boils. But these are the first tomatoes we've gotten out of the greenhouse this year. Last year was our first year of having a greenhouse, and we've never been able to grow tomatoes here otherwise. And so it's really enjoyable to be able to do this. So we're going to put our tomatoes into our boiling water. And well, you should rather quickly, we start seeing the skin pulling away. This one, skin is pulled away already into the cold water bath. Let's see, it's starting on this one. Doesn't take much, and the time it takes kind of depends on how fresh the tomatoes are, how ripe they are. There's a lot of factors, so you just watch for that skin behavior. And the whole idea here is that they're going to be easy to peel. Yep, it's starting to go. I think I'll leave it another second. All right. Get the rest of them in here. And get these out of the ice water. Doing this, we haven't cooked the tomatoes really. We just that's why it's called blanching rather than boiling. We're just trying to loosen the skin. You can make as much or as little of this tomato sauce as you like. I'm hoping that these 8 tomatoes are going to be just the right amount for this tart. You can also make extra and can it. The sky's the limit. So these are starting to pull away. Yep, that's that. All right, so here we have our blanched tomatoes, and we're going to peel them, and we're going to put the peels into a small saucepan because we are going to get some more goodness out of these peels. If they've been blanched too long, a lot of meat sticks to the peel, which is okay because we'll get it off of there before we're done here. This one I could have blanched a little bit longer, but it's coming off pretty easily. Okay, now with our skins, we're going to add just a little bit of water. We're going to put this on a burner on medium-low heat. And we're going to cover it. And this can just simmer slowly for a little while as we do the rest of our work on the tomatoes. So the next thing we've got to do is get the seeds out. And this is a marvelously gooey job. It's great fun. Cut them up. I'm cutting them into quarters. You can cut them into smaller pieces if you'd like. And you just put your fingers in there and squish all the seeds out. And we're going to save those, so we want those to go into a bowl. Yeah, this is fun. I like this part.
You're so weird.
These tomatoes are great. They have a lot of meat. Okay, we've gotten that far. Let me wash up and we'll come back and work on our sauce some more. All right, so I have cut these tomatoes up into little chunks. You will want to cut off the pousse. That's a technical term that was invented by my daughter at 2 years old when she was living in Hawaii for the part of the fruit that you don't eat. Okay, and then we are just going to drop these. No, we're not. We are going to get our pan ready for these tomatoes. And what we have is some olive oil. I'd be kind of generous with this. A good tomato sauce has some oil in it. And some garlic. Again, I don't think you need too terribly much. Because the beauty of this sauce is going to be the flavor of the tomatoes. So we'll get that garlic cooking just a little bit. And then we'll add in our tomato pieces. Those are meaty tomatoes. This looks like I'm going to get a lot of sauce out of these 8 tomatoes. So I'm pretty happy about that.
I always think this would be amazing sauce on homemade pizza because it is so good.
And we're going to let this, you really want these, these tomatoes obviously have to cook way down to become sauce instead of chunks. You will have your choice later on as to just how chunky it ends up. And the other ingredient that goes in here is salt. And since we're making a caprese, which if you'll remember is tomato, basil, and mozzarella, I may add a little bit of basil to this sauce. But really, If you're making it to use for many different things, just leave it without any sort of herbs, and you can add the herbs when you make your spaghetti or whatever you're going to do with the sauce, your pizza. Okay, so the next part, we are going to take our seeds and we are going to strain the juice out of them. Why bother with this, you ask? Well, the seeds, the juice around the seeds is super tangy, and it actually adds some umami to our tomato sauce that we can't get any other way. So this is a flavor that, if you just throw these seeds out, this is a flavor that you're not going to get in your sauce. So we'll just work this through the sieve, and I'm only using this giant bowl because I already had it dirty from my ice water bath. But we'll just see how much we can get out of this. And I started out with, what, 1.5 cups, 2 cups of seed stuff. And I'm going to have much less than that when it comes to what I throw away. So not only does doing this increase the flavor of your tomato sauce, it also reduces the amount of waste and increases the amount of tomato that you use. I think we've done pretty well here. Doesn't look like much, but this is going to add a lot to our sauce. And this just goes straight into the pot. And we'll give that a quick stir. Cover it and let it sweat over here for a while. And we still have our skins. There's still water in there, so we're okay. We're letting that soften a little bit more. And we'll come back and take care of those in a minute. All right, now we boiled our skins for quite a while. It's got a little bit of excess water in it here that I'm going to just let run out. And then we're going to take these skins and we're going to do the same thing with the sieve here. We're not going to get a lot out of this, partly because these were blanched pretty well, so they didn't have a lot of extra meat on them. But one thing that this does, what you get out of this is tomato paste. And this adds a deeper color to the sauce. It doesn't add an awful lot more in flavor. There must be something, but and I don't know that I'm going to get much out of these skins. These tomatoes had very thin skin and a lot of meat compared to seeds. So let's just see if I'm getting anything out of this. Yep, there's something there. See the tomatoes, the tomato paste. So let's just see if we can get this right into our goulash over here. So just help to deepen our sauce just a little bit more. And this is part of what makes this the best tomato sauce I've ever tasted. And I'm betting it's going to be the best tomato sauce you've ever tasted as well. Okay. Try and catch that. that too. And there you have it. Now we're going to let this cook down. If you're making this to can or to freeze or for future use, you probably will want to leave it pretty juicy. Since we're making this for a tart, we're going to want it to be pretty dry. So this has to cook down quite a bit and lose a lot of this moisture before we can put it in a tart shell, because we don't want it to just make the tart shell soggy. So we'll let it do its thing and come back. So the sauce is really cooked down now. You can see it. There's no more water. Well, very little water coming out of it now when I run the spoon along the bottom. And you can see how much it's cooked down. So this is all that flavor from those 8 tomatoes concentrated in this little pile of sauce. We're going to let this cool, and we're going to work on assembling our Caprese Tart. All right, we have our pieces ready to assemble our tart. So the first layer that goes on top of our crust is a solid layer of overlapped basil leaves. It's really just one layer thick, but they overlap. This is Genovese basil from our greenhouse, and it makes kind of a big leaf, and they're kind of curly, so this is a little more difficult to work with than some other basil we've gotten before, but it's going to be just fine. This will all cook down and flatten down as we go along. The second layer is some mozzarella cheese. Now I'm using pre-shredded this time. I have made my own mozzarella and used slices here. I've used commercial sliced mozzarella. It's up to you how you want to do it. Slices work fine. There was a product that we got that didn't really melt right of slices. I don't know what that was, but we decided we wouldn't use it again. It was a pre-sliced mozzarella, which is good in lots of applications, but it just did not work in this pie. So I want a pretty good layer of cheese here, because, you know, cheese is good. And it's going to make this just super delicious. All right, so on top of the cheese, we're going to put our tomato sauce. And this looks like it's going to be just enough for this project. I was a little concerned I wasn't making enough, and you know, it's close. So we'll try to get this spread out, spread evenly, and I just want to make sure I do cover the whole pie with it. Oh, you can see how delicious this is going to be already with this super concentrated tomato sauce and all that mozzarella and fresh basil. And if at all possible, if you can use ingredients that either you grew yourself or you just picked up at the farmer's market, that's what makes a dish like this just that much better. You get all those flavorful ingredients, and look at that. We got just enough sauce. I noticed that I didn't do a very good job getting all the seeds out of the sauce. You can try and do a better job than I did, and so when you post your pictures in your local food group, they look the sauce looks smooth and no seeds. But this is really going to be just fine. So
I believe we call that rustic.
So next comes a layer of tomatoes interspersed with a basil leaf. Now, like I say, these leaves are just a little unruly, and I'm going to try and make them behave. So this should all overlap. And this is our opportunity to make this pretty here. just whatever you can do to make it look pretty. Okay, so we have the, this is mozzarella that I've cut. This was the ball form of mozzarella, like so. And I've cut it into little strips and just placing it around our concoction here. As you can see, this is adding beautiful cheesy goodness. And let's see, what can we do about the middle? I guess it's just gonna be like that. There you have it. Pie is ready to bake, and it's gonna go in a 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes until all that cheese is melted. And we'll see what it looks like then. It's gonna be fantastic. All right, I think we finally got this. Oh yeah. So this spent 45 minutes in the oven, the first 35 at 350, and it just wasn't getting done, so I turned it up to 375 for the last 10 minutes. And what I was looking for is the brown on the cheese, and I really want to see that. So we've had this oven for less than a year, and we're still trying to figure it out, but nothing is ever the amount of time it says on a recipe. So you really have to keep using your eyes and your nose and to see when something's really done. But I think this time, this is done. So we'll garnish it and see what it looks like. So of course, part of any dish is presentation. So this dish has been garnished with Thai basil, some cherry tomatoes, a dahlia flower. Geez, there's a lot of things on here. There's a lettuce flower. That little yellow thing in the middle is lettuce. I have some coriander flower, and can't think of what those blue things are called. Borage flowers. It's all very pretty, and some cherry tomatoes. There's sweet millions and sun gold. All right, let's serve this puppy up and see what we got. I'm using my tart knife.
He only says that to bug me. How's it working for you?
I'm having a little trouble getting through this one. It's because of the thick leaves on the bottom, I believe.
Someone wants a piece. He's very particular about how it's cut. Just wanted to add that.
Well, I'm just cutting it into even eighths, which is what makes the most sense to me. A sixth would do too, because actually an eighth is just not quite big enough. Okay. But I don't think this knife is necessarily cut all the way through everything.
Looks like a dessert.
It looks like a dessert, but it's totally savory. We'll just see if we can get a piece out of this, and then everyone can get back to their whatever they were doing. Yeah, there we go.
Don't push it off to the other side.
The whole thing, you mean?
The whole thing's trying to come off the other side. There you go.
Could have
It's
been
never a perfect science.
could have been served up better. But there you have what a piece of it looks like. Let's see if this one comes off any better. Nope.
It tastes good though.
Wait, it lost its tomato. There you go. That looks perfect. All right, thanks for watching Two Cooks in the Kitchen, and we'll catch you next time. Oh yeah. Yep, that's the thing. It's rich and tangy with that tomato sauce, and boy, the basil and the cheese. It's all just the whole thing.